Have you ever tried to sit down to meditate and in the middle of the famous your brain decides to turn into a real party of crazy thoughts? Something like this: you start focusing on your breathing and out of nowhere, you remember that meme you saw last week, then you start thinking about the shopping list, then you wonder if you've watered the plant, and to top it off, you start planning what you're going to have for dinner. All of this in less than 10 seconds. If this situation sounds familiar, congratulations, you probably have ADHD, or at least you've experienced the famous mental bunny jump. For many people, meditating is that sacred Zen moment, a perfect pause in the middle of the chaos of everyday life. But for those with ADHD, it can be more like trying to tame a hyperactive cat. You know that cat that seems like it's going to fly away at any moment, with paws, tail, and meows all over the place? Well, trying to meditate under these conditions is practically the same thing: thoughts, legs, the urge to move. Everything ready to get away from there. And look, it's not laziness or lack of will. It's just the brain showing its electric personality, a veritable festival of flashing lights and bouncing ideas. And believe me, you're not alone in this internal mess. Here, the idea is to explore this duel: me trying to meditate with ADHD. Spoiler, it didn't work out very well. But don't worry, don't get discouraged. We'll understand why this impossible mission happens, laugh a little at the mental blunders, and who knows, discover lighter ways to deal with this mess we call the mind. Because, at the end of the day, everyone deserves a moment of peace, even if it comes with a few jumps in the And if you've ever tried and felt that meditating seemed like a task for a Tibetan monk or a guru with superpowers, you'll feel right at home here. Not because your brain is defective, but because it simply works differently, and that's totally okay. Let's discover together that there is a special way to take care of your mind, even when it seems like a 24-hour amusement park. Focusing is a real challenge for many people, but for those with ADHD, it's practically like trying to hold onto a helium-filled balloon while jumping on a trampoline. The brain wants to go everywhere, but where it should be. Just imagine, you decide to meditate, close your eyes, try to pay attention to your breathing, and out of nowhere comes a parade of messy thoughts. Did I leave the stove on? I need to answer that message that won't stop flashing on my phone. Has the houseplant died yet? What's the best song to play for running? Will that friend answer me? All of this at high speed, at a speed that would make even Flash take a breather. It's not laziness or lack of willpower. It's just that the brain with ADHD works in turbo mode. Always seeking new stimuli, always looking for something different, jumping from one thought to another like someone changing channels on TV without even waiting for the commercial to end. And then, sitting down to meditate, which requires exactly the opposite: calm focus and constant attention, becomes almost an invitation for the mind to rebel. For those with ADHD, the mind is more like a radio station with 1,000 stations playing at the same time, trying to tune into everything, while you ask for silence to listen to just one calm song. This mental hyperactivity can be a challenge for traditional meditation, which requires calm and concentration, something that our electric brain doesn't usually give for free. But there's a good side: this accelerated mind is also a machine for creativity and energy. The trick is to find a different way to channel all this energy. Because, let's face it, who needs total calm when you have a brain that never stops? The secret is to understand and accept this unique way of functioning, without blaming yourself for not fitting into that ideal meditation model that seems made for people who think slowly, or sometimes, for those who think too slowly. And it's precisely in this acceptance that the path to finding your own rhythm begins. If traditional meditation seems impossible, you might be able to invent your own meditation. One that suits your electric brain, complete with jumping, breathing, and even laughter. Meditation usually starts with the classic tip: focus on your breathing.
Sounds simple, right?
Breathe in, breathe out, count to 3, and voila, your mind is activated. However, for those with ADHD, this task becomes a real mental juggling act worthy of a circus. Imagine that your ADHD brain is an old radio trying to tune into a single station, but there are several other stations blaring loudly at the same time, competing for your attention. Trying to focus only on your breathing becomes almost an Olympic challenge, almost like trying to listen to relaxing music while a rock band is playing right next to you, and your dog insists on barking at a bird outside the window. In science, we know that people with ADHD have differences in the areas of the brain that regulate attention and impulse control. These regions are a little messed up in terms of functioning, and this explains why it is so difficult to maintain focus on a single thing, such as the air entering and leaving the body. It's as if there were a party going on inside our heads, and meditation asked the DJ to be zen and calm, a difficult task, but not impossible. And when you try to breathe slowly, you get that urge to say, "I've had enough, I'll do something else." Your body gets restless, your mind wants to run away, and the outburst of trying to concentrate even becomes a sideshow, funny, frustrating, and sometimes almost comical because it's so desperate. But here's the secret: trying and realizing this is already a giant step. It's not about achieving perfect meditation, but understanding how your brain likes to dance, even if it's not to the rhythm the manual says. Sometimes the dance is a bit clumsy, full of stumbles, but it's your own dance. And don't forget, the goal is not to silence your brain like a radio that's turned off, but to create small moments in which it can breathe, even between one loud song and another. Not everyone with ADHD experiences the same kind of meditative agony. While for some, the mind feels like a chaotic amusement park, full of thought roller coasters, for others it's more like a room full of cats playing with balls of yarn. It all depends on how the brain behaves that day or that minute. The important thing to understand is that trying to meditate and failing doesn't mean failure. Quite the opposite, it's part of the process of getting to know yourself better. Sometimes, it didn't work is a sign that that particular technique isn't the best for you, and it's okay to try other methods to slow down. Some people find peace in movement, a light walk in the park, stretching, or even dancing in their room to the sound of that music that makes their heart beat faster. Others prefer activities that combine focus with stimulation, such as drawing, doing crossword puzzles, or playing light video games, where the brain stays busy but relaxed. With ADHD, self-care is a very personal journey that doesn't need to follow rigid recipes. Each attempt, even the failed ones, helps you better understand how your brain works, which strategies make sense and which ones can become an invitation for frustration. And of course, it's essential to be patient and kind to yourself. The mind may be messy, but it's also creative, unique, and deserves all the respect. The important thing is to find what works for you, and not try to fit your experience into a formula that works for everyone. So, the next time meditation doesn't work, remember, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe traditional meditation just isn't the perfect party for your brain.
And that's okay.
If meditating the traditional way is like trying to tame a wild horse, for those with ADHD, it's more like making friends with it, taking your time, respecting each step, and each unexpected jump. Laughing at your own mental blunders is almost an act of resistance, because it helps transform frustration into lightness. For those of you who tried to sit still and turned into a, know that there is a special way to meditate for those with ADHD. It could be a walk in the open air, letting your mind wander while painting or drawing, listening to a short guided meditation, or pausing to listen to music that calms your heart and accelerates your soul at the same time. Accepting that the perfect may never come is liberating. Because, deep down, meditation is not about staying still and quiet, but about finding small moments of peace in the midst of the chaos. It's like finding that cozy corner in the middle of a storm, where you can breathe and smile, even if the smile is a little crooked and accompanied by that urge to run away. So, if your brain is a party with flashing lights and different songs playing at the same time, know that this party can also be fun. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be yours. And who knows, maybe your next attempt at meditating will be just another dance on the dance floor that is your mind, with stumbles, laughter, and of course, a lot of learning. In the end, the greatest victory is not being able to stay still for 20 minutes. It's allowing yourself to be present, in your own way. Because living with ADHD is a challenge, yes, but it's also a unique journey full of colors, sounds, and pulses that only you know how to play.